Alright, we've got the choke on. Here goes nothing. Hopefully this thing starts up here. Alright, welcome back finally to part 2 on the Quadzilla Banshee build. As you guys know, Quadzilla engine and a Banshee frame, 500cc, but now since we bored it over 2mm, it's about 535 maybe cc. So we had to bore it out 2mm over because, as you guys know, previous video, we blew this thing up in 10 minutes after purchasing it. So that kind of sucked. But anyway, we got the cylinder sent out. It was bored over, like I said, to 2mm over. We got a brand new Quadzilla piston for it. And then last video, we actually reassembled everything. And everything was going smoothly until we put the head on. And when I was turning over the engine, the piston was hitting the top of the head. So that was no good. With further investigation, I found out that the gasket was on the wrong way, so the piston was probably actually hitting the gasket instead of the head. So we got lucky there, and I switched the gasket over, and we no longer hit. So just to make sure that the clearance is correct between the piston and the head, we're going to measure the squish clearance, which is basically the distance between the head and the piston. So there's a ring around the head. I wish I had a different head to show you guys, but there's a ring around here. I think it's about a 1/2 inch around on the Quadzillas. That's pretty much flat with a taper of like maybe 15 degrees going into the center of the head. And the piston comes up to that point around here, which is the closest point to the head, and that is the squish clearance. And it's called squish because the air gets squished by the piston to that point on the head, and it pushes everything towards the center of the head. And you don't want that squish clearance between the piston and the head to be too small or too big. You want it right around 1mm for the Quadzillas. And I think the specific spec is 0.03 inches to 0.055 inches. So I think within that range you should be fine. We're gonna measure today by taking some solder. This is 1/8 inch solder lead, so this won't damage the piston or the cylinder when we do it. But we're gonna bend this and then stick it in to the spark plug hole here, and then we're going to crank this thing over, and it will crimp down on the lead and make it really thin, and that will be the clearance of the squish. And then we can measure the actual lead solder, and that will tell us the exact clearance we have between the piston and the head here. So that's what we're gonna do. We're looking for around 1mm, like I said before. So let's get going on that, and hopefully we're within spec. If we're not, a couple things you can do. You can order a thicker base gasket if the clearance is too small, or a thinner one if the space is too large. I know some people also trim their heads, and a couple people also order thinner or larger gaskets for the top here. By the way, if my voice is a little nasally, it's because I'm getting over being sick all week. So let's see here. So we've got the lead here. We're gonna do a bend like this in it. We're just gonna kind of measure towards the end of the cylinder here to see where that piston ends up hitting here, because we don't want to go too far. It's a little bit too far, I think. Alright, so that looks about right. So you can see it's a nice L shape. We're going to stick that in to the spark plug hole right here, and then go towards the outer part of the cylinder here. So this is the tricky part. We've got to now rotate the engine and push down pretty hard to crimp that lead in there. And if we push down hard enough, we should be able to get it to go. Let's see here. right there. You can see it went all the way around, and hard to see, and it flattened that. So this is the squish measurement we want. So we're gonna take the caliper, measure that. It looks to be around 1 millimeter, so we should be fine. But we'll measure that up quick and see where we're at. But yeah, that's how you do that. All right, let's zero this guy out. Turn it on. Zero that guy out. All right, let's measure this guy up here. This one's 1.15 millimeters. And you want to measure in the middle because there's actually a little lip that's higher out right there. So 1.2 is that one. And I actually did a couple of them just to make sure that we had the correct measurement here. Here's another one. This one's 0.96. And then we did the other one right here. This one's 1. Then one more right here we did. I just wanted to make sure we had a bunch of different tests here. And this one's 1.32 millimeters. So we're right in that 1 millimeter range. If we average all those out, we're at like 1.15, I think. So we're right in the spec range that we need to be in. So 0.03 inches is, let's see here, is 0.762 millimeters. And then 0.55 is 1.397 millimeters. So we're right in that range. So we should be good to go. So let's continue the build here. All right, we got the pipe all on. Nice and tight, looking good. And the silencer's on. We've got the slide out of the carburetor right now because, as you guys know, we looked at the slide and then we looked at the needle clip position and it was all the way at the top, which makes it leaner. And we're going to put that right in the center because I think it was too lean and that could be part of the problem as to why it blew up. So let's move that clip down to the middle and that will allow more fuel to flow in. Alright, that's in there. Right in the middle. So that should be good to go. We're going to reinstall that guy. There. Make sure that needle doesn't move up and down. So I think we're good to go. tighten that down. All right, there's no play in there. That's what we want. All right, we can reinstall that and then install the carburetor. Right, emptied the gas tank. We're gonna be adding 28:1 for the initial break-in period. Alright, she's all back together. We gotta get some coolant in it, and we've gotta mix up some 28:1, and then hopefully this thing starts up and we have zero issues. Alright, we're gonna do a quick oil flush on this thing before we break her in and start it up for the first time. So it looks like this thing takes 1,000 milliliters of oil. You can see right on the side of the case here. So let's take a look at this oil and see if it's got any metallic pieces in it or metal chunks, which hopefully it does not. All right, I believe we already changed the oil in this one when I first got it, but just to make sure, we're gonna take a look at it here. And this will kind of tell us if there's anything in the clutch that needs attention. So all right, we let that drain for a bit. Here it is. Doesn't look that great. We'll just pour some new oil in there. You can see there's no metal chunks or anything, so that's good. All right, let's get some cooling in this thing. No leaking yet. All right, she's topped off. Let's get the gas mixed up. All right, for the initial break-in, we're gonna be using AMSOIL Interceptor 28:1. So we're gonna be using half a gallon. So for 28:1, you have to mix up 4.57 ounces of oil to 1 gallon of gasoline. Since we're doing half of that, it's gonna be like 2.3 ounces. So we're gonna add that in there, and then we'll add the gas. All right, let's see if we got some gas flowing here. So we've got the gas line away from the pipe this time. So before it was hitting the pipe, now there's a gap in between. So hopefully that'll be enough. But we should be okay. Let's see if gas is flowing. Yup, gas is flowing good. See if it's leaking out of the carburetor here. Shouldn't be. So, looks like we're gonna be good. All right, here we go. First start attempt, we've got fresh oil in it. We've got fresh coolant, and now we've got 28:1 with premium gas. So, let's see if she starts up. All right, we've got the choke on. Here goes nothing. Hopefully this thing starts up here. Some coolant leaking right from up here at the actual hose, so that's not good. So we gotta fix that, but it started right up, so that's a good sign. All right, the leak stopped, so let's see if we can start her back up again. It kind of shut off randomly, so hopefully we're good still. Maybe I fouled the plug here. All right, so now it won't start back up. I don't know what's going on with it. I changed the plug. I let it sit for about 20 minutes to get all the gas out of the cylinder, thinking it was flooded. but nothing's working. So we're gonna test the compression. Hopefully we didn't lose it. It doesn't feel like we did when we're kicking it over, but we'll quick check and see. Maybe something happened. You guys keep an eye on this gauge. I'm hoping we don't have compression leaking out. Alright, let's see what happens. We should have really high compression. It's a brand new rebuild. And the ring's just seated from starting it up, so we shouldn't have an issue. Looks like we've got pretty low compression. What the heck? Only 100 pounds of compression. What is going on here? Did we blow a gasket or something? Oh God. Alright, we gotta tear the head down again and see what's going on. Because only 100 pounds is not good. That's not good at all. So that's why it's not starting back up. What the heck could have happened here? Did it blow up already? Man, that sucks. Alright. Bad news. Scoring on the cylinder. And there's one over here as well. So, we literally started it up for like maybe 1 minute. And that's what happened. So, I don't know. Yeah. All the jets in it are perfect. So I'm not really sure why it's doing that. We ran 28-to-1 oil mixture. So it's not lean at all. I just don't get that. I did not get that. Unless like the ring clearance was too tight. I don't know. Very, very odd. So we gotta take the cylinder off again. And hopefully that scratch comes out with the hone. Then we gotta do this all over again, because I'm just kind of stumped though. What the heck could be causing that? Man, does that suck. Let's see what the head looks like. Head looks perfect. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Everything else looks good. Gasket looks good. Top of the piston looks good. No damage whatsoever to the top of the piston. So I'm not really sure what happened. Why it keeps on scoring that cylinder. It's very, very weird. Very irritating. Alright, we got the quad apart again, unfortunately. And check out the cylinder here. I'm really bummed, but you can see. Scratch right there, big one right there. And one right there. You can see right there going up and down. one right there. So a couple big ones. They might hone out. I haven't tried to hone it out yet. And the piston, the rings were stuck in here. You can see they don't move really. So they're like welded in the back over here. It's like they're really tight. And a couple scratches on the piston near the skirt, like one right there. You see that big one. But overall, it's not too bad. I don't know what the heck happened. So there's no way it got that hot in a matter of a minute. That's just crazy. I don't get it. And the wrist pin was stuck in there. So that wasn't good. So it's really, really tight getting the wrist pin in now. It's all pistons junk. Say goodbye to 160 bucks just like that. Awesome. But the crank looks fine still, so I'm not really sure what's going on with this thing. It's like a very big mystery. I'm not really sure. So, any recommendations on what to do next? Let me know. I'm not sure what's going on with this thing. But I don't know what to do. Should I buy another piston for it and just slap it in there? It's like I don't want to say goodbye to another 160 bucks. But anyway, we're going to investigate further and try to determine what caused this. Because now it's happened twice. And this time it happened a lot quicker than the last time. So something's going on. Not quite sure what it is, but something's definitely going on with this thing. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully we can figure out the problem and get this solved once and for all. Until next time, we are out.